Alrighty then, it's time for yet more Xin Zhao. Where are you gonna stop, Stonewall? Never. Next one. Anyways, I've been enjoying him a lot because I get to play him in a very old school sort of way. Basically, what I mean by old school is, if you guys remember, some of you won't remember this, and some of you never even saw this. There was a thing called the Triad of Junglers. It didn't really have a name, but that's what I referred it to, and that's what kind of stuck. And I'll go over it in a little bit. First, it's kind of, the same thing I've been doing a lot, which on this account, it's not the Stonewall account, this account is apparently still platinum, so, hey, this whole shenanigans is still working. I'm doing the whole pull the monsters to lower the whole time between the camps thing, and I go hunt down the Warwick just as he's not even gone red. So, getting impatient, I figure he's doing a long clear route, taking out wolves as well as the frogs, so I just kind of walk up to him and destroy him. A lot of people don't flash immediately because they think, oh, I should just flash as soon as he's going to use his, Q. But thankfully, with your E that follows up with an auto attack, you get to do this whole knock-up combo shenanigans and do a huge burst of damage. And now I just disrupt Trundle. Warwick goes to do his Krugs. I charge the Trundle because with double buffs and beans and Zhao, even I could beat a Trundle at that point. Because, come on. I know Trundle's a really great duelist, but a double buff Xin Zhao is super painful. So, I send them on their way, and this slows down Warwick quite a bit. Also Trundle too, because he's forced to use his teleport to come back into the lane, and Tom's already a very annoying champion, especially if you can't keep up with items, so Trundle's quite he's going to be in quite a bit of an issue too. So at this moment, I've kind of put both jungle and top lane at a disadvantage, and I'm also keeping track of the blue spawn time. It's about to spawn, at around my red buff. It's just a very simple trick, so to speak. As soon as, if you started off red and your opponent started off blue, you can basically tell, oh, by about the same amount of time, his blue is about to spawn at the same time my red one does. So even though you didn't have the timer on it, you can basically guess. So I went there and killed it before Warwick showed up. If you saw the minimap, you kind of see him slow down, thinking, hey, where is it? He did not expect me to steal it. And thanks to the whole interference, I can easily catch Warwick at his red buff and destroy him there yet again. Orianna can't do anything to stop it. I'm able to take red with no issue and do a ton of damage against the Orianna, who is now either forced to go home or stay in lane. This whole early game, remember this is apparently platinum, this whole early game thing just shut out their entire team. They're donezo. Warwick is a little way too behind to be able to do very much of anything. My bottom lane is already pretty strong on their own, so I don't really have to do anything. Warwick did get a kill, but I think my teammates got a revenge kill out of that. So it's totally, it doesn't matter too much, especially because it's a Kog'Maw and against an Ezreal. So the Ezreal is going to start scaling down while the Kog'Maw is just going to be dominant. And then I go mid lane, I'm able to catch the Orianna in a huge burst combo. Warwick does kill my Lux teammate, but he ends up dying as a result. To be honest, this isn't too far off what you should be doing with the jungler like Warwick, where you just kind of have to go with the 4 Hail Mary ganks, because otherwise you're going to fall way too behind. But it's kind of a little bit too late at this point. All my lanes are winning, and I did have an interference with at least 2 of them, so my bottom lane kind of winning on their own was, pretty much a gift, but me destroying the enemy jungler, putting him down, and causing interference for top lane so Tom can just snowball out of control there, and obviously interfering a lot with mid lane, causing Lux to at least, dominate against the Orianna, is shutting the game out. At this point, the only thing that the enemy team can do, especially because we've got our late game is way stronger than theirs, is hope we screw up and just start wandering on our own. But at that point, that's not going to happen. The game is shut out. Anyways, the rest of this game is going to play out just kind of how you expect it, so I'm going to go over the Triad of Junglers for a lot of you. Alright, yeah, this is a dual video. There's another whole another game right after this. Anyway, the Triad of Junglers was split into 3 types of junglers. It was Control, Gank, and Farm. This should be pretty self-explanatory for most of you. And the people who haven't heard of it, and may not know that too much, farming junglers and ganking junglers are obvious. Gank goes for kills, farm goes for just clearing as much of the jungle as possible, including stealing a few camps maybe. Examples of farming junglers are like Master Yi, Shyvana. Ganking junglers are the most obvious, just go in and kill things. Basically anyone with crowd control can be easily a ganking jungler. And Control. Control is the one that most people have issues with because it changes a lot throughout the game. Also keep in mind here, we ended up making Evelyn blow her flash, and that's super important. I'll go back to the Triad of Junglers right now. Also, I want to tell you, I want to point out, if you, Xin Zhao, when the video is super sped up, looks super goofy just how he runs. So it's kind of funny. Anyways, Evelyn doesn't have a flash, and I'm pretty sure most players at this point don't know how to clear with her efficiently. So I don't even have to, do this properly. I just literally walk up to her as she gets that. I flash in without a worry that she's gonna get away because again, she doesn't have a flash. Easily kill her, double buff and then steal her monsters. She's gonna be so far behind. She's about to show up to Wars, which is the most logical one for her to be taking at this point, because Krugs will probably do too much damage to her. And I do manage to kill her, although Karma's showing up and it is going to end up killing me in response, so that's kind of sucks. Though, putting Evelyn down before she can start, running away the game is pretty worth it. Anyways, back to the Triad. Control is essentially you try to manipulate or control the map as much as possible. Put down wards. It's not really as easy as before because, you can't just buy a ton of wards like you could in the past. Keeping track of the enemy jungler's movements and being there to stop them. This is super, super effective against ganking junglers. Like, a good control jungler can just bury them and never allow them to do anything. 3, clearing out wards, making sure the enemy has no vision so they can't really roam or anything. And essentially controlling objectives. Essentially, a control jungler was great to starve out opponents, and most of the control junglers in the game were stuff like Nunu and in some ways Shaco and stuff. You just kind of make sure the enemy doesn't get freedom of movement. Keep them in their lanes. And this worked a lot with champions in lanes that were really strong independently, so they never ever really needed your help, and eventually just by themselves would win their own lanes, right? Like if you have a top lane Renekton and they're fighting some weak ass crap, I don't know who the Renekton beats most anybody. Just say Riven, right? I think Renekton crushes Riven. Just say Renekton is fighting a Riven, eventually the Renekton will overpower her, right? If you make sure that the enemy jungler can't ever actually interfere with that lane, Renekton will just win, right? Mid lane, sort of same thing too. Like just make sure to keep them controlled, and they'll never get to do anything. And that's how I've been playing Xin Zhao, because control junglers weren't just, these sappy champions like Nunu who are kind of support. Control junglers were also duelists. Either they dueled you, there was 2 types of duelists to add to that. The ones who just mauled you, who just sort of mauled you to death real quickly. Old Darius was one of those types of duelists who, he did way too much damage way too quickly and just destroyed you. Same thing with old Skarner, he just kind of grabbed you and destroyed you, and that was it. There was nothing you could do about that. And then there was a duelist who manipulated you and controlled you and slowly beat you down unless you could run away. Right now, a champion like that is Nidalee, who's probably the best control jungler in the game right now. 2 was Nunu, who would just kite you to death and you wouldn't just kind of want to kill yourself. And stuff like that. The new Xin Zhao right now is a really strong duelist who can just maul you to death, but he's got the tools to at least be able to, do some tricks and fight you in better ways than most other champions could. So I'm able to play him in that fashion, and I'm enjoying it a lot. Again, a lot of my opponents, as you've seen, I approach them very differently when I'm invading them. And, I'm able to control them and counter them. Because I'm so much stronger than them when I'm invading them or anybody, I don't have to worry about being caught or anything. So I'm constantly just roaming around in most of these games that you see me play Xin Zhao, and I hunt the enemy jungler down. If you kill an enemy jungler twice in the very beginning of the game before they get build up any momentum, and you steal their camps as you see me do that, you're going to get a level advantage. And I know the catch-up experience is there, and this is sort of the counter to that. Catch-up experience is pretty, annoying, but depending on the enemy jungler, it's not going to matter at all. If it was someone like a Maokai or someone like even Nautilus, someone like them that, when they get levels, they'll still be effective in some kind of way, even if they'll probably still die. Putting them down so badly isn't going to make a big deal. But against someone like an Evelyn or a Master Yi, catch-up experience won't matter as much because they need the items to actually do stuff. So look at the Evelyn just rarely came out, so I can't really blame the opponent for knowing too much about it. But that kind of absolute destruction, look at her items. She's not gonna hurt anybody. The only thing she can possibly do now is get a lucky pick, or hopefully get fed by her teammates, but that's just not gonna happen. So something like this is absolute control jungling to the maximum. In this game, yes, I decided to play Xin Zhao more controlly than anything else, although, to be honest, I'm just kind of killing anybody I would get near. Because someone like Evelyn needs to be put down. If I was fighting someone like maybe Shyvana, unless I absolutely knew what everything she was going to do and knew I could kill her before she burned me down, I would probably just go for ganks against laners. But yeah, the whole triad of junglers also had that cool little nifty thing where each one countered something else. Control countered ganking by a long shot. You just kind of never let them do anything, and they just kind of fell behind on their own. Farming supposedly countered control because you weren't going for kills anyways, and you're just going to go into camps, blow it up, and get out real quickly. You know, you've seen some farming junglers like Tryndamere, Master E, who can just go into a camp and kill it in like 3 seconds flat. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're trying to control them, as long as they can keep up the pace and know where you're at, you're just going to keep going, stealing and stealing. And farming junglers were destroyed by gankers because they forced you out of your jungle. Because if you're a jungler and all you're doing is farming while your laners are dying, it doesn't matter how farmed you are, you're gonna get to contribute anything, and your team will probably fall apart before the mid game anyways. So that's how it was usually beat. And you'd play depending on how everything was. Look at my teammates versus theirs. My team, at least theoretically, should have been either on par or superior to my opponents lane-wise, right? So them having this kind of composition just led them to get absolutely crushed by control. Evelyn needed to interfere with lanes, and especially against the Ahri lane, because then if Ahri gets to go roam around and start getting, you know, big and stuff, she's gonna just kind of annihilate the enemy team. Or at least during the mid game, late game's gonna be iffy. My bottom lane, the Xayah and the Sona would probably control the lane a little bit better than the opponents. Here, this is what I sort of mean. They won't really make a comeback unless my teammates kind of, you know, die. But you saw how much effort it took to do that, and how much of a blunder it had to be for my team and I. But still, you've already kind of seen the amount of destruction that occurs when, you know, the fights actually occur. Or, that was kind of really bad English, right? But either way, also another important factor on my side of the team, look at the kill spread. This is the kind of kill spread you want when you're, you know, annihilating people. I wasn't exactly donating kills too much, but the end result of, you know, all the fights is really beneficial to my team. Now, no one on my team is exceptionally fed. Farmed, yeah, but exceptionally fed, no. Meaning everyone in my team is a significant threat. So when a team fight does sort of arise, you can output a lot of power on the enemy team. Here, they do bring me down, but it pretty much comes at the entire cost of their team. They're just wiped out. Again, as I said, pound for pound, team fight for team fight, they literally will lose every single one from here on that. Their team comp was designed to sort of, you know, rely on the Evelyn tipping the balance on their point. Like I said, my laners were either on par or ahead of theirs, but not considerably so. So they needed Evelyn's interference. But me, I pretty much buried Evelyn, and she couldn't do anything for the early game, and it just sort of snowballed out of control for the rest of the game. Again, Ahri's way too big. She didn't get shut down. Teemo is just being Teemo and, you know, being a nuisance and split pushing. He does get killed a few times, but you know, he's doing what he does. He didn't farm properly either, though, mostly because my interference in his lane and all that other stuff sort of accelerated his lane phase and got him to leave out of that. But yeah, in most cases, no, in the end, this game is pretty much set in stone. It's done. But I got to talk about the triad of jungling. I love that. It's an old topic that doesn't get revisited a lot. It's pretty much no longer a thing because junglers are now sort of completely well-rounded, and invasion isn't as, you know, good to do anymore because catch-up experience and a lot of junglers right now don't really care, and itemization has become very iffy. But still, when you get to pull it off, it's such a fun feeling. Hooray. And remember, if you enjoyed the video, make a comment below in the comment section, and also give the video a like. That helps the channel a lot more than you think.